Darkness. A hospital room. A 15-year-old boy breathes with effort. He knows. There is no astonishment. Only the severe lucidity of one who realizes that the body is beginning to give way. This is the account of the teenager who catalogued Eucharistic miracles, and who learned to die before the age of 16. His name was Carlo Acutis. And he was aware that his life was going out. London, 1991. Birth. Milan. Childhood. An ordinary family. Resources, yes. But Carlo did not turn comfort into a refuge. He woke up early. Daily Mass. Not out of devout discipline, but because of a fire that burned without consuming, the Eucharist as the axis of his existence. Other teenagers sought identity in styles, groups, sounds. He found it in the consecrated bread. He did not proclaim this. He did not give speeches. He simply walked, every day, like someone going to an inevitable encounter. On the streets of Milan, he saw the invisible ones. The beggar hunched on the corner. The lost immigrant. He handed out food. He offered a few words. No photo. No announcement. Charity as a private, almost secret act. And then there were the computers. From a young age, a fascination with digital architecture. Not with games. Not with the still rudimentary social networks. He archived Eucharistic miracles. Hundreds. Scattered throughout history, hidden in anonymous parishes, kept in forgotten documents. Carlo gathered them. Classified them. He created discreet, direct, unadorned websites. For him, the internet was not a stage. It was a repository. A silent testimony. A material trace of the real presence. While the digital world was learning to exalt itself, he used it to whisper. Nothing extraordinary seemed to be happening. Just a life conducted with strange density. As if every common gesture carried eternal gravity. As if he already knew that time would be brief. The Internet of the 2000s. Inaugural territory. A promise of uncontained freedom. Speed that didn't know where to run. Carlo entered this space as a monk enters the desert. Not to be scattered. But to keep watch. His purpose was almost methodical, to gather every Eucharistic miracle recognized by the Church. Lanciano, 8th century, the host converted into heart tissue. Buenos Aires, 1996, the consecrated bread that bleeds. Bolsena. Florence. Santarem. Decades and centuries of material testimony, scattered like fragments of a sacred mosaic. Carlo added no commentary. He did not embellish. He registered. Date. Place. Source. Image, when possible. For him, the truth required no ornament. It simply needed to exist. No likes. No comments. Without any theater of devotion. Only order. Only silence. A catalogue raised against the growing noise of the digital world. His relationship with technology ran counter to the times. Where many sought distraction, he imposed form. Where many shouted opinions, he stored facts. Where many invented masks, he disappeared. The internet became, for him, a space for recollection. Almost a cloister. As if he intuited that this territory, still naive, would eventually become a battleground for the soul. And needed, from an early age, points of resistance. He was never the patron saint of the internet. He was a sentinel. An observer who crossed the digital world without being devoured by it. And perhaps that is why his silent vigilance would only become more urgent after his death. When the virtual world assumed what he already foresaw, a place where the soul can be lost without noticing. October 2006. 15 years old. A headache that won't cease. Nausea. A strange, disproportionate fatigue. As if youth had suddenly aged. Tests decipher the enigma with cold precision: acute myeloid leukemia. The body declares its failure. Carlo hears the diagnosis with a serenity that disconcerts doctors and family members. There is no rupture. There is no instinctive question that so many would ask. Only silence. And then, with a voice that does not tremble, I offer all the suffering I will have to undergo to the Lord, for the Pope and for the Church. 15 years old. The age when many discover the illusory feeling of immortality. He discovers the limit. And he welcomes it like one who recognizes something familiar. As if all the early mornings before the Eucharist, all the discreet visits to the poor, all the meticulous cataloguing of miracles, had been involuntary preparation for this instant. The illness advances with swift cruelty. Days, not months. The teenage body becomes a battlefield: chemotherapy, high fever, bone pain, internal hemorrhages. But something remains untouched. The spiritual lucidity does not weaken. It becomes denser. Carlo asks for the Eucharist whenever possible. Even when swallowing is pain. Even when the nausea threatens to undo everything. The consecrated bread as the ultimate anchor. His parents observe with perplexity. Almost fear. How can someone so young face extinction with such sobriety? There is no teenage rebellion. There is no negotiation with God. There is no righteous fury of one who sees life being cut short before it can fully bloom. Only a strange and ancient familiarity with death. As if he always knew. And now that the end is near, there is no surprise. There is recognition. October 12, 2006. 7 days since the diagnosis. The leukemia granted no truce. It advanced like a cold, silent, inevitable tide. Carlo's body ceded territory after territory: cerebral hemorrhage, edema, organ failure in sequence. He knows. Consciousness comes and goes like a flickering light. In moments of lucidity, he does not ask for healing. He asks for the Eucharist. His mother approaches. He whispers, each syllable requiring effort. I am happy to die because I have lived every moment of my life without wasting even one on things that would not please God. 15 years old. A whole life condensed into silent faithfulness. No gesture wasted. The final hours lack cinematographic drama. No visions. No final revelations. No visible miracles. Just a teenager slowly dying, accompanied by the discreet hum of machines that can no longer intervene. His breathing becomes irregular. Long. Short, pause, long again. His lips move. No one listens. Perhaps a prayer. Perhaps an intimate conversation with the one whom he met daily in the tabernacle and who now approaches without a veil. The dawn advances. The light of morning threatens to break through the window, but he will not see it. The heart, finally, stops. Without struggle. Without surprise. Like one who finishes a path whose direction was known all along. Carlo Acutis dies at 15 years, 7 months, and 19 days. Prepared for burial, he receives what he had requested earlier, when he could still speak clearly. Jeans and sneakers. No suit. No artificial solemnity. The common clothes of an ordinary teenager, who lived a life of strange and profound exception. The burial is discreet. Few people present. No one yet realizes that this silent programmer, this daily mass attendee, this austere archivist of Eucharistic miracles, would become a lit memory for thousands. Death did not end his story. It was his signature. Death should have been the end. 15 years old. Fulminant leukemia. 7 days from diagnosis to the tomb. Human logic says, too brief to matter. That whole life, the daily mass before dawn, the charity practiced without a witness, the obsessive catalogue of Eucharistic miracles, the digital sobriety in the middle of adolescence, was not an accumulation of merit. It was preparation. Not to live long, but to live whole. Each day lived not as a prelude to a promised future, but as the last possible day. And when the last day truly arrived, there was no surprise. Only recognition. In 2020, 14 years after his death, the Church beatified him. Many come seeking the internet saint. The modern youth. The example of how to sanctify technology. But this is a comfortable reading. And, therefore, false. Carlo did not sanctify the internet. He crossed it as hostile territory. He entered with vigilance. He used it as an ascetic tool. And he left without being devoured by it. The internet was not his apostolate. It was his desert. Photographs are taken beside the tomb. Hasty devotions, urgent requests, conditional promises. But there are also the others who arrive, kneel, and remain silent. Those who recognize something they cannot name. Carlo's death was not a tragedy. It was a definitive signature. Carlo Acutis did not conquer death. He recognized it. How did someone so young live with such sobriety? How did he inhabit time without waste? How did he die without despair? Carlo did not leave a manual. He did not leave a method. The question is another. Deeper. More severe. If you knew you would die tomorrow, what would you change today? He knew. That is why he lived whole. Subscribe, and remain with us. Every narrative is a candle lit in the night.